This time around for the spotlight, I got two more with a little bit of common ground with the last two in the sense that these two are also of the medium-sized variety. But there are some new things that make them undoubtedly more worth your time. And by that, I mean they have some abilities. Well, just one. First, let's cover the less well-known one, the Ankylosaurus. Or Ankylosaurus. I've heard the pronunciation go both ways. I'm going to go with Ankylosaurus because it rolls off the tongue better. Anywho, the Ankylosaurus was featured in a scene against the Indominus Rex, which did not end favorable for them. Also, in this game, you get the opportunity to play as him in a Jurassic Park 3 level. The Ankylosaurus is this spiky boy with what seems to be like two bowling balls at the end of his tail. And that tail is the gateway for the next and new ability. Do you guys remember Cracked Wall from LEGO Avengers? Well, that ability is making a return to this series. The Cracked Wall ability, for those uninitiated, is the ability for those characters to knock down walls or structures emitting a glowing orange hue out from behind these cracks. You see this primarily in the open world, in the explorable dinosaur habitats. Most of the time, you have to crack open logs in a certain amount of time for a gold brick, or something like that. As the Ankylosaurus, you can position yourself to be able to hit them with their tail as you swang that thing. Sorry, I'll never say that again. Oh my gosh. Holy scallops. Our next dinosaur, the Stegosaurus, is similar in function, just a tad slower, and much more iconic. In the main campaign, you see the Stegosaurus as you face him in one of the most quirky boss fights in the game. We've already seen the baby version of this guy in the actual ranking, but the baby hadn't gained its ability to smash cracked walls yet with its spiky tail. In time, young grasshopper. It's a little tougher to position your tail to smash cracked walls with the Stegosaurus as opposed to the Ankylosaurus, but there's a small dinosaur that we'll eventually see on the main ranking that will make it much easier to crack walls, kind of making these guys really kind of obsolete. But I'd say these guys are at least deserving of being playable in this game compared to the Corythosaurus or the Parasaurolophus. Dino Handler Bob was based on one of the several workers on duty for the transfer of the Velociraptors to the Raptor Pen. Now, I hate to sound like a broken record, but that's really all I have. I'm sorry, I would talk about something more specific to the movies rather than just the games, but there's barely anything. Also, this guy's name is not doing us any favors. Bob, just Bob. Well, there's the Dino Handler job profession also tacked onto his character's name, but that's merely a formality. Honestly, I tried to go easy on this game for many things, but the stretches they've made to fill out this roster is almost criminal. Dino Handler Bob's one ability, by the way, is just the generator ability, as it could be deduced based on his weapon of choice. What else can I say? Red helmet and a mustache, that's something. Might not seem like that big of a deal now, but just you wait until about now. See, yellow helmet and no mustache. I told you it was something, in that they are the only things that separated Dino Handler Bob from Dino Handler Vic. However, Dino Handler Vic at least has something more to him than Dino Handler Bob. On Wikipedia, Dino Handler Bob's page just redirects you to Security Guard, which isn't the name of a playable character in this game. Dino Handler Vic, on the other hand, is actually playable in the story, but only for one section of one level in the Jurassic Park campaign. Granted, he was basically there just because they needed someone for the sake of co-op, but hey, he contributed by using his generator ability. So, there you go. Since this guy was playable in the level, I'll say that he's just a tad more deserving of being in the roster than Dino Handler Bob. He's like basically the rebel friend of this game. But still, the trend that is starting to form of random people we don't know just meandering their way onto the character roster is, dare I say, a plague. Finally, a dino handler that actually matters. This is Joffrey Brown, and you play him in the very first section of the very first level of the game. Joffrey Brown is an actual former Major League Baseball pitcher who became an actor and stuntman after he retired from the sport. Well, he made only one Major League appearance, but I think that still counts as him going pro. Funnily enough, he wasn't even given a different name for his role in Jurassic Park. And if you don't know, he's the dude that died in the process of transferring the Velociraptors to their containment. His death was the inciting incident for the rest of the film, since John Hammond needed to quell the worries of the investors by attempting to get the endorsements of InGen's lawyer Donald Gennaro, chaos theorist Ian Malcolm, and paleontologist Alan Grant, among others. So really, Joffrey Brown's role in the Jurassic Park franchise as a whole bears more importance than we might give him credit for. For this reason, I think Joffrey Brown earns his spot as the best character that has the generator as his only ability. So here's a DLC character that honestly I don't see a scenario where someone would see a list of characters included in a DLC and say, yo, they have hot dog vendor in this? I'm adding that to my cart. But I mean, he obviously holds a little bit of value in this game if he's made it this far in the ranking. The hot dog vendor can be seen in the Jurassic World levels and open world, which would make sense since the park is open. If there was a hot dog stand on Isla Nublar in the first Jurassic Park before the park even officially opened, John Hammond really would have spared no expense. No, you see the hot dog vendor specifically in the Under Attack level where the Pteranodon... Did I say that right? Where the Pteranodon... what? Well, where the Pteranodon... Oh my god. Where the Pteranodon is attempting to lift the hot dog cart with the hot dog vendor dangling as if losing the cart would be comparable to losing his entire way of life. The hot dog vendor's one and only ability is a new one to the series, but a classic ability we've seen several times in the past. The target ability. You can aim where to shoot, and the character will shoot a ranged weapon or toss an item. In the hot dog vendor's case, he throws a can of soda. And honestly, wasted opportunity to not have him throw a glizzy. Come on, what are we doing here? Another DLC character. Who is this same guy? Well, a tourist, obviously. Is there anything else of note with this guy? Great question. No, there isn't. It kind of baffles me as to why they decide that some dude Sam, who attended the park, should be a playable character. If we want to get technical, there are probably more than a few Sams attending Jurassic World at the same time based on how common the name is. What, we're not going to include his last name to narrow it down? Maybe the Sam guy worked on the game and wanted to insert himself in the game and knew that the higher-ups wouldn't be paying as much attention to a DLC. Because honestly, this guy looks like they just made him in the character customizer. At the very least, Tourist Sam has a new ability to introduce to us, but you know what? Just because I'm a little salty, I'll save the reveal for the next segment because the next guy has the same ability. Here's yet again another DLC character who at least played a role in Jurassic World as the father to the two children protagonists. Scott Mitchell. He didn't play that big of a role, just showed up at the beginning and the end, but that makes sense considering he didn't go to Jurassic World himself, which was a good move on his part, even if he wasn't invited in the first place. But allow me to introduce the next new ability in this game that he shares with everyone's favorite character, Tourist Sam. That ability has to do with what he's holding, the camera. Throughout the open world, there are spots where you can take photographs as a form of a collectible. Since I've already completed the game, and I can't be bothered to do it again. I can't interact with these photo stands anymore, but they used to be here in all over the open world across all 4 explorable areas. Also, there are instances in the levels where those with the photograph ability can take pictures to either confuse a dinosaur or to advance the level in some way. Not sure why Scott Mitchell is carrying a camera. He didn't seem like much of a photographer to me. I mean, Tourist Sam would have one since he's a tourist, but Scott Mitchell? I doubt he has a Visco, but at least he's an actual character. Tourist Sam. Now, something that is somewhat a staple in this franchise, the Jurassic Park franchise I mean, is a child character that may or may not be justified in the story. I mean, the 2 kids in the first film make sense to be there since John Hammond wanted to impress his grandkiddos. The presence of the child character in the second one was a bit contrived, with her just sneaking onto the mobile lab. The kid is the whole reason why the protagonist went to an island full of dinosaurs to begin with, and the children in Jurassic World could have been cut entirely in my opinion, but kids going to an amusement park does make sense. Our first child character in this series, who is introducing a new ability ability is none of the children characters I mentioned. I mean, a main child character would have an actual name and not just be called Dig Site Kid. In fact, this kid does have an actual name, which is Eddie, and he was actually the first child character to show up in the Jurassic Park franchise, period, which is something, I suppose. He's the kid Alan Grant scared at the Montana dig site after he called a velociraptor an enlarged turkey. The only ability of the dig site kid is the hatch ability, which is something we've definitely seen before in past series. I doubt I even have to explain, but I will anyway in case you're new. If there's one of these small hatches in the wall, a small guy like the dig site kid can access it to go to new areas. We've seen one Dagler before, and now we're seeing another. Would you believe it if I said they're related? Yep, I know it must be shocking to hear, but this Charlie Dagler is the son of Mark Dagler and Ellie Sattler after Ellie and Alan Grant split due to Alan not wanting to have kids. Charlie Dagler himself, predictably, doesn't play that big of a role in the film he appeared in, which was Jurassic Park 3. He was 3 years old in that film, which makes me think he's a little younger than how he's portrayed in this game. I think you have to be at least 8 years old to don the short legs. Maybe him being canonically younger than how the game portrays him is why he winces like that when he runs. But let's be honest, Charlie Dagler is here because of the lack of characters in this game, so they aged him up a little bit to include him, which is fine. Charlie Dagler, like the Dig Site Kid, also has the hatch ability as his only one. I rank Charlie Dagler above Dig Site Kid because, Charlie has a name. Well, I guess so does Dig Site Kid, but his name isn't recognized by TT Games, so tough luck. The ACU, short for the Asset Containment Unit, really had their work cut out for them in Jurassic World after the Indominus Rex got out of its enclosure. And how did they handle that? Entirely incompetently. I get that the Indominus Rex is a buffed Tyrannosaurus Rex with notes of Velociraptor and camouflage frog, so the odds were against them from the start, but I feel like the ACU should have been informed of Henry Wu's latest monstrosity so they could have a better game plan than what they ended up doing, because they were really just fodder for the Indominus Rex. Anyway, this is the standard male trooper of the ACU, and he probably is no longer with us canonically. But this is a LEGO game, so he's probably fine. He brings us a new weapon that introduces what I consider to be half an ability. His weapon is the taser rifle. This rifle naturally has the target ability built into it. However, these taser rifles operate a little differently than standard rifles, in that they can power these electric switches. These switches are usually high up, and only these taser rifles can be used to power them up by shooting them. I consider the electric switch as half an ability because it feels like a modification to the target ability. All of those who can interact with electric switches can also interact with target bullseyes, but not all those that can interact with target bullseyes can interact with electric switches. Can you imagine if Hot Dog Guy's soda can was charged with electricity? That would be wild. Yeah, sorry Joffrey Brown. I know I named you the best character with only generator as an ability, but I still have to rank an unneeded, unnamed Dino Handler from a DLC above you since he has one additional ability. That's right everyone, we've exited the 1 ability characters and also the 1.5 ability characters, and we're officially in the 2 abilities or more characters category of this series. Now this is a beach variant of Dino Handlers we've recently covered because that's definitely something that we all asked for. Listen, Beach Trooper was funny in LEGO Star Wars with that hot tub Easter egg, but it doesn't pack quite the same punch with nondescript Dino Handlers. Anyway, just like the past handlers, the Beach Dino Handler also carries a taser stick with the generator ability. The new ability is Target. What does he throw? Also soda? Come on, where's the creativity? It's obvious that the hot dog vendor and this Beach Dino Handler have soda as their throwable items because a certain character in the base game has soda as his throwable item, and for him, it makes sense. But when you give it to these DLC characters, it's just glaringly obvious that they're cutting corners for this DLC that they probably didn't even need to make in the first place. Was it really that hard to make it so the hot dog vendor threw a hot dog, or make it so the Beach Dino Handler threw a beach ball or something? I don't know.